Hi there and welcome to a comparatively short but sweet car cleaning guru video in which I'll be getting my hands as well as my arms, face and pretty much everything else dirty in order to give the grubby wheel arches of this daily driven Ibis White Audi R8 a damn good scrub. Being a last minute jobby, I didn't have a great deal of time to prepare or run through the logistics of exactly how I was going to capture it on camera, and so what you see here should be considered a relatively basic wheel and arch spruce up as opposed to a full on cinematic detail. I could of course have spent the whole day filming myself detailing one corner to perfection, but that would have been of no use to the owner, who understandably wanted all four tending to, and so it was agreed that with a final wash and dry of the body also having to take place, each arch was to be cleaned to an acceptable entry level standard, if you will. Also, trying to film inside the darkened arches of a low-slung supercar on a bright sunny day was never going to be easy with the contrasting exposure levels, and so the shots in the video are the best I could muster up on the day. However, I still thought you'd appreciate seeing some rudimentary footage of the process rather than nothing at all because it couldn't be captured perfectly. Before the knuckle scuffing begins, I'd just like to quickly show off this nifty little Nightcore MH20 USB rechargeable palm-sized spotlight I recently picked up with the intention of using as a swirl and defect finder when out in the open. The tiny waterproof torch features various brightness modes including turbo and comes complete with an assortment of useful accessories. However, the main selling point for me was the 1000 lumen punch-it packs I'm hoping no swirl mark or scratch in sight will be able to escape. With the R8 relatively safely jacked up and secured, the front wheel was removed and set aside for subsequent cleaning before the filthy offside arch was liberally coated with a strong traffic film remover to quickly cut through the thick surface dirt. Considering TFRs can be hard to get your hands on, this initial step isn't essential, and so long as you give them a thorough pre-rinse you can go straight on to degreasing wheel arches. The majority of the cleaning was undertaken with Autosmart G101, a bulk all-purpose cleaner which was diluted down roughly 1 to 5 with water and applied via a foaming trigger spray to quickly cover all areas of the arch, and there's no need to be shy at this stage as inner wheel arches including any components they accommodate are all exposed to the elements naturally, and so treating them with a strong cleaner once in a while isn't going to do them any harm in the long run. Once applied, the degreaser was left to soak for a few minutes to help soften up any of the more stubborn dirt before being worked into all areas with a selection of soft bristled detailing brushes. The 8-pot Brembo brake calipers were agitated first to avoid any abrasive contaminants from inside the arch being rubbed into their painted finish, and were also rinsed off independently of the rest of the arch to prevent the all-purpose cleaner from drying and potentially staining them. Again, with this being a last minute video, I probably wasn't equipped with the best brushes for the job as there are plenty of other more plush long reach items available out there. However, I utilised what I had to hand to tackle the grubby arches as best I could. With the degreasing representing the main bulk of the arch cleaning, some time was spent working the product into all areas, and it was reapplied as necessary to both keep the grind cutting action going and to curb it from drying on the surface. Once I felt nothing more could be achieved with any additional scrubbing, I moved on to washing the arches out with an old synthetic Mitt saturated in a normal bodywork shampoo, with the aim being to help neutralise all the APC residue prior to rinsing off, while simultaneously feeling my way around the arch one last time to catch any awkward areas the brushing may have missed. Degreased and washed, the entire arch was then given one final thorough pressure rinse off to remove any remaining loose dirt particles and cleaning product residue prior to dressing and drying. A favourite product of mine, Autosmart Finish, was used neat to dress all areas of the arch, and despite not being particularly durable, it's all I had in bulk form at short notice. Plus, I knew the easily obtainable uniform factory finish it gives would work well on the various surfaces here. While still wet, all areas of the arch, including the brake caliper, were liberally coated with the white dressing, which was left to penetrate for a few moments before being thoroughly worked in with a clean, dry microfiber towel and fresh, soft bristled detailing brush, which served to simultaneously dry and dress the entire area in one fell swoop. Once all the dressing residue had been thoroughly buffed over, the brake rotor bells were treated to a basic hand job with some fine wire wool and Meguiars Next metal polish, which, with a bit of elbow grease, was worked into the pitted surface for a few minutes to remove any unsightly tarnishing before being buffed off with a spent microfiber towel. A couple of hits with the wire wool, or even some time spent with a Dremel or metal polishing drill bit would undoubtedly have brought them up to a better standard, but with 3 other corners in the body of the R8 still awaiting my attention, a simple once over had to suffice. While the wheels were off the car, I took the opportunity to give them a good clean, and while ideally you should also fully decontaminate them with dedicated products prior to cleaning, a traffic film remover and strongest solution of bulk wheel cleaner worked in with a few soft bristled brushes and final washover with another Mitt and shampoo was the best I could offer them here. I did pick up an aerosol based wheel sealant from Autoglym earlier that morning, as I thought it would provide the means to quickly give them some basic protection before they were replaced, but after having difficulty with it smearing up on the surface, I soon realised I pissed £10 down the drain, as the small print on the back of the can kindly informed me that for some reason it was unsuitable for use on dark coloured wheels. With the freshly cleaned front wheel kept off the car for now to avoid any overspray contaminating it, the entire process was then repeated for each of the other 3 wheel arches. The more attentive amongst you may have noticed that the way I tackled these arches is similar to how I've cleaned a number of engine bays in previous videos, and that's because aside from a few bits and bobs, in terms of materials and the level of dirt they attract, they're both very similar. And it's worth pointing out again that in my mind at least, there's no point pussyfooting around with either if you're going to bother cleaning them properly. All surfaces are going to need to be simultaneously degreased, and in my experience an all-purpose cleaner is your best bet. They're then going to need to be dressed and or protected, and a decent water-based dressing applied wet is the quickest and most effective way to achieve this, which just leaves any shiny bits to be polished. Obviously there's exceptions to this, but degrease, dress and polish is the basic methodology that should be employed when cleaning and detailing either your engine bay or wheel arches. Before plonking the gloss black split spokes back on the car, I made sure to grab some parting aftershots to show how the inner arches, their various components and the brake calipers now looked after having what had equated to roughly an hour spent on each of them. You'll most likely notice plenty of unsightly tar spots still present on the painted panels and arch liners, and while a full-on undercarriage detail would have seen each of these individually removed as well as the painted chassis parts polished, that level of work just wasn't a realistic prospect here. Still, picture perfect detailing aside, for a relatively basic entry level clean you can't deny the arches looked a whole lot better for it, and the fresh finish gave the owner the opportunity to take some cheeky snaps to include in any future sales ads should he come to sell the car. The brake calipers came across smart and shiny. The springs and shocks, light corrosion aside, looked box fresh and ready to boing. The arch liners appeared crud free and somewhat richer in colour, and you could at least now properly see the white painted parts that previously hid behind layers of ingrained grime. Finally, with the 19-inch wheels back on the car, the freshly polished brake rotor bells contrasted nicely with their clean gloss black colour. As always, thanks for watching. Far from a perfect job I know, but one nonetheless I thought you'd be keen to see. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share the video with anyone you think might be into it, and I'll catch you all again soon with some high calibre car cleaning content.